So the Michelin Wild Enduro, front and rear, 2.4, both ends. I've had them on for a little while now. We got the Magix compound at the front and the Gumex at the rear. So the front comes in Magix or Gumex. Gumex is a little softer, but they say the Magix works better at speed and whatever, but it's actually a little harder. And if you play with the knobs, they're definitely hard. They're certainly hard, and it makes for quite a choppy ride. So I'm in Adelaide, and all our trails are dry and hard. We are in winter at the moment, so I've had a good chance to run it down some slippery wet stuff, which is where these tyres shine. So off camber, slick, hard pack. These knobs here bite in really, really well. They just grab the ground. They grab the ground really, really well. But anything outside of slippery stuff, or not slippery wet stuff, when it starts to get a little drier, especially when, say, you're riding in a kind of steeper trail where you got a lot of loose braking points, where you got a bit of loose gravel over top of some hard pack. If you're trying to brake and control your direction, they're a little hard. You gotta allow for a little bit more. You can't be as aggressive with them. You can't be as aggressive. So the rear is a little bit lower profile. A lot of people say they roll pretty slow, but I think the rear rolls pretty quick. Honestly, it's they feel quite traily. They feel quite sprightly. The tyres, they're definitely not a slow pair of tyres. I do like that about them. They're quick. They're easy to pedal around on. I'm just not big on the overall. I don't like the feeling of the front, to be honest. I don't mind the back. I think the back feels okay. It's a little softer. Still a little bit choppy, but it's definitely a little softer, a little bit more. You look at that knob. It's a little bit gooier, a little bit more compliant, but not quite what I like. I still prefer the aggressor out the back, but this hooks up on corners better than the aggressor. There's more grip there, for sure. All out grip on anything a little softer, they're just sublime. They're really, really, really good. But I'm not too sure if I could run these tyres at all in summer. I just don't think I can. Cuddies took me a little while to get used to. I was having a bit of a, not a battle, but committing to that grip at the front. And then once I got more runs on it and more rides and more revisits to certain trails, I started to have a little bit more faith in it and trust it. But they're just not quite what I want. They're too choppy. And when I say choppy, I mean it's, instead of the bumps being like, it's whack, 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 or it's like real bumpy. It feels real bumpy. So every trail feels bumpy. It feels like your fork's a little bit either overdamped or oversprung for the same pressure and settings as I'm always referring to the DHF Max Grip. That's my preferred tyre. It does an excellent job everywhere. A little bit slower rolling than the Max Terra, but super compliant, heaps of grip, and works in every condition. But on really, really slick hard pack, so greasy, wintry hard pack where you've got no sun, the DHF, you've got to dance on it a little bit harder, whereas this will maul the DHF in that condition. But we just don't have those conditions here. I might do 2 or 3 rides that are that slick per year, so everything else is always a little bit more grip or hard pack, or really, really, really loose over hard pack, really dusty, really dry. So for Adelaide, for my conditions, these tyres aren't for me. They're definitely not for me. I like a more supple front tyre, something that keeps the bike a little bit more quiet, and just a little bit more overall grip, especially when I'm braking hard on loose, steeper terrain. These just don't compete. They don't compete with a Max Grip DHF. or maybe even an Assegai. An Assegai pulls up fairly well in those conditions as well. But yeah, the rear, as I said again, it's better than what I'm hearing from people. People are thinking that it's no good. You know, I'd run the front, but I wouldn't run the rear. I'd run the rear, but I wouldn't run the front. To be honest, I might even leave the rear on today. I'm going out to do runs at Horsnell's Gully, and I'm thinking to put a DHF back on, just because it's going to be loose and it just feels better. It just feels better. So I might leave the rear on for now, and that's it. They're just not. They're not up there. They're light. They're not light. It's probably about a kilo at the front. I think it's 1040. I think they're both weigh about the same actually. And yeah, they're a trail tyre, but they're not. No, they're not for me. So, but if you like them, run them for sure. And if you're running in anything wetter or dirt, dirt that you can penetrate, they're killer. They're absolutely killer. But if you're riding somewhere where it's dry and hard pack, I don't think they're the best choice. Still, to me, aggressor rear, double down, and DHF max grip up front. That's the combo. I tried a Magic Mary yesterday and the day before. Didn't feel too bad. Kind of similar to this front tyre. But yeah. Great tyres, but not exceptional for my riding and my conditions.